Why isn't Apple calling the next iPhone the iPhone 26? It might sound strange, but that question actually makes a lot of sense right now, because Apple is changing the names of its operating systems, and many people thought the iPhone would follow the same idea. So, here's what's really going on. Apple is planning to rebrand iOS, macOS, iPadOS, and visionOS starting this year. At the upcoming Worldwide Developers Conference 2025 event in June, the company is expected to announce that all its operating systems will now match the number of the coming year. That means the next iOS update won't be called iOS 18. It'll likely be named iOS 26 since it's being released for the year 2026. It's kind of like how car companies name their models. For example, a car launched in 2025 often gets a 2026 badge. So naturally, people started asking, will Apple also change the name of the iPhone 17 to match this new system? Something like iPhone 26 instead? The answer is no. According to Mark Gurman, a well-known Apple insider, Apple has no plans to rename the iPhone 17. And he explains why. iPhones are a lot more personal to people than software updates. Users tend to remember iPhone names more than they do iOS numbers. If Apple suddenly went from iPhone 17 to iPhone 26, it might confuse customers or make older iPhones feel too old, even if they still work perfectly fine. That kind of shift could backfire. People may skip buying older models just because the name sounds old, even if the phone still has great features. Also, Apple likes to keep iPhone names simple and stable. Unlike Samsung, which jumped from the Galaxy S10 to the Galaxy S20 to match the year 2020, Apple wants to avoid tying its phones to a year. That gives them more freedom, and the phones don't feel outdated as quickly. But that doesn't mean the iPhone 17 will stay the same. Even though the name isn't changing, Apple is still upgrading the phone. Reports say that all iPhone 17 models, except maybe the base version, will come with 12 GB of RAM as standard. That's a nice bump from the current models and should help with multitasking and speed. There will also be some design changes, although exact details haven't been confirmed yet. Apple might be taking some ideas from visionOS, the software made for the Apple Vision Pro headset. The goal is to make all Apple platforms feel more connected, whether you're using a Mac, an iPad, an iPhone, or a Vision Pro. So even if the phone's name stays the same, the overall Apple experience is going to look and feel more unified. Now, there's another reason Apple might be pushing this operating system rebrand. Some people believe it's a way to shift the spotlight. With companies like Google and Samsung making fast progress in artificial intelligence, Apple might be using this rebrand to make their software updates sound more futuristic, without needing to talk too much about AI just yet. Either way, it's clear that Apple is thinking long-term. They want their system updates to sound fresh and modern, while keeping the iPhone naming style steady and easy to follow. So what do you think? Should Apple have renamed the iPhone 17 to match the new iOS name, or is keeping it simple the right call? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you found this update helpful, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss future Apple news. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Samsung might be changing things up again, and if you're someone who cares about smartphone performance, this is something you'll want to pay attention to. A new report out of South Korea hints that the upcoming Galaxy S26 series could bring back a decision that users weren't exactly thrilled about in the past, using different processors depending on where you live. Right now, the Galaxy S25 series is praised for one key reason. Every model, in every region, runs on the same powerful Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy processor. That kind of consistency made things simple. No matter where you bought your phone, you knew it had top-tier performance. But that might change with the S26 lineup. The new report suggests that Samsung could go back to splitting its chip strategy, meaning some phones will run on Snapdragon and others on Samsung's own Exynos chip. The Galaxy S26 Ultra will likely continue using Snapdragon across all regions, but the regular Galaxy S26 and S26 Plus might not be as straightforward. If the leak is accurate, the United States, South Korea, China, and Japan would still get the Snapdragon version. Meanwhile, Europe and other global markets could receive the Exynos 2600 powered models. This isn't entirely surprising since Samsung did something similar with the Galaxy S24 series, where the Ultra had Snapdragon everywhere, while the standard models came with exynos in select countries. That split wasn't very popular. Many users complained that the exynos versions didn't perform as well. They were often slower, less efficient, and had issues with battery life and heat compared to their Snapdragon counterparts. That's why the Galaxy S25 series was such a welcome change. Finally, everyone got the same performance no matter the region. So, if Samsung goes back to a mixed chip setup for the S26, it could leave a lot of people disappointed. Of course, nothing is official yet. Samsung had originally planned to use the Exynos 2500 in the S25 series, but due to production problems, they had to drop that idea. If those issues are now fixed, the company might feel confident enough to bring the Exynos 2600 into next year's phones. But whether or not it matches up to Snapdragon's performance remains to be seen. At the same time, there's another big change happening in Samsung's foldable phone lineup. It looks like we'll be getting two versions of the Galaxy Z Flip 7 this year, a standard model and a more affordable Fan Edition, or FE. Both of these are expected to use Exynos chips, regardless of where they're sold. The FE version will likely run on the Exynos 2400, which was used in some Galaxy S24 models. The regular Flip 7 might be powered by the Exynos 2500, which never made it into the S25 lineup, but could be ready now. For people in markets like the US or China, where Snapdragon chips have always been the norm in premium phones, this could be disappointing. Many users trust Qualcomm's chips because they've consistently delivered faster speeds and better battery life. The idea of not getting a Snapdragon version at all may not sit well with everyone. On the other hand, the Galaxy Z Fold 7 is expected to stick with Snapdragon globally, just like the S25 Ultra. That's good news for anyone looking for a foldable with the best performance possible. The whole situation could end up being pretty confusing for buyers. Most people don't want to compare processors or check region-specific specs. They just want a reliable phone that performs well. And while Samsung's Exynos chips have definitely improved, there's still some hesitation when it comes to trusting them over Snapdragon. If Samsung really does go back to splitting its chips by region, it might create frustration among users who want consistent quality no matter where they are. It's still early, but this is something worth keeping an eye on. If you enjoyed this update, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more news on Samsung's upcoming phones and tech updates. It's expected to be lighter but still packed with power. If you're hoping for giant batteries like the 6,000 mAh ones seen in some Android phones, you might be disappointed. Apple doesn't go for huge battery numbers. Instead, it works on improving how the battery works with the phone's other parts. This year, all iPhone 17 models will use stacked battery technology. This type of battery is designed